everyone should be reverse banding the hack squat. Now that I've grabbed all your attention, you don't all need to reverse band the hack squat at all. But this video is going to explain why it might be a smart move if you want more efficiency for every single rep. I'm going to show you in the gym performing the reverse band hack squat, and then what I'm also going to do is then do a Loom video explaining the mechanics behind it and why you may want to try it if you want to get a little bit more out of the exercise. So guys, what we're going to talk about today is reverse band hack squat and how to set this up to get the most out of the movement itself. So when you're setting the hack squat up, I've got this little sling here. I bought a small carabiner because the other carabiner just made it a little bit too tight, or made it a little bit too baggy, sorry. And then when I was using the daisy chain when I was on the top pin, it was just a little bit too tight, there was not enough slack. And then you can see here at the top, there is some give within the bands themselves. So it's not like a slingshot. That's where a lot of people go wrong. When we come to the top of the concentric, we want them bands to drop off completely. So there's a big differentiation between the load at the top and the load at the bottom. I'm going to explain how this does not make it lighter at the bottom. It's still the heaviest at the bottom. We're just making the discrepancy from top to bottom a lot more than what it would be if there was no bands on it, where it'll just be getting heavier and heavier and heavier. I will explain that in another video, but what we're going to do is just going to watch you go up and down, and you're going to see when the bands kick in. Now I have just done a set, so I do apologise, I'm a little bit tired, but you see, as I go through the movement where the bands kick in, add resistance, and then when the bands kick off, so in the next part of the video, I'm going to explain how all of this is working in regard to how it doesn't make it lightest at the bottom, which is a very bad misconception of this exercise. It's still the heaviest at the bottom. As I said, it's just not as heavy as what it would be if there was no bands on it. So like I said in the previous video, I'm now going to explain why reverse banding the hack squat might be a clever move. Now, if we take the band off this machine, what we'll find out is whatever weight is on the machine, it's the same weight as we go through the whole rep. So what I've drawn here is me going through the eccentric and the moment arm to the knee joint changing, where we can see as we're getting closer and closer to the bottom, that moment arm is getting larger. So there's a greater challenge to the knee. But when it comes to squatting movements, we understand at the bottom, because we've got a stacking element of the joints, we are the weakest at the bottom. But we can argue that's going to be a great challenge for us. But as we're going through the rep, we get stronger. So in essence, it would make more sense for the load to drop off at the bottom, but get heavier as we go through the top. But that doesn't mean it's the easiest at the bottom, which I'm going to explain in the next slide. So for reference, this is image 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that'll all make sense when I go on to the next slide. But as I can say, because the weight on the sled stays the same, but we are the weakest at the bottom, but there's the greatest moment arm to the knee joint, it's sort of going against the profile that we can create, and the resistance profile isn't matching it. So I'm now going to explain this on the next slide, why reverse banding might be a smart option. You do not have to do it. If I'm being honest, I created this setup myself based on a few rules that I've learned from people like Joe Bennett, where he wants slack at the top, and the likes of Michael Golden when I've done RTS or Integra, where you want slack at the top. So you can see here there's no bands kicking in. Then the bands just start to get a bit of tension as I'm going through the rep, build up a lot more tension as I'm getting close to the bottom, and then have a lot of tension at the bottom. Now, in the perfect world, this might be a little bit tighter than what it is now, but we work with what we've got, and I'm very, very happy with the setup that I've got here. But as I'm going through the next one, into the next slide, this will be a normal hack squat, okay? So that should say 1, okay? So I'll put image 0, but that's supposed to be 1. So image 1 moves to the top, where there's not going to be any challenge to the knee joint. But then, as we're going through the rep, onto image 1, that will now be, so imagine that's 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Not just 0, 2. So as we're going through the rep here, as you can see, what we'll be seeing is a greater chance knee, where it's going to be 400. These are just random numbers, it's just a trend, I would say. It's not 400 of anything, but we're just going to say 400. As we're going through the rep again, because don't forget the weight's not changing, but that moment arm is getting greater, there's now going to be 600 extra torque at the knee joint. Then as I'm at the bottom, where that moment arm is going to be the greatest, there's now going to be 800. But don't forget we're the weakest at the bottom when it comes to this movement. So if we add a reverse band, which is then going to take load off at the bottom, but the moment arm is still going to stay the same as if it would if there was no band on it, it just makes that profile flatter. But as you can see, it's still the heaviest at the bottom and still light at the top. Okay, ideally we'd want it to be a little bit more flatter than this, ideally, but there's going to be no way in which we can create that unless you had some kind of machine that would be able to drop it off at the perfect rate. But we're just going to use the equipment that we've got. So we can see here at the bottom, at the top, sorry, there is no torque. As we go through it now, with the band just kicking in a little bit, we've just dropped off 30 of it. So that means that's now going to be 340. And then as we're going through the rep, with the band's now they dropped off the load even more, so there's going to be 130. So that'll be 390. And then as we get to the top here, what we're going to see now is it going to a 400, where we've dropped it off even more. So we've put the bottom of foot at 100. So it just went from 200 to 100 in regards to drop off. Again, I'm not doing the perfect math here. I'm just trying to show the trend of how a band would work. So guys, this might be a good reason to reverse band the hack squat, because what we're doing is we're flattening the profile. And as you can see when I'm performing the reps, it's just like having a little bit of an internal spot at the bottom, giving you enough help at the bottom so you can then go through the whole reps in a lot more of an efficient way. Hope you've all enjoyed this video, and trust me, reverse banding doesn't make it easy at the bottom. It's still the heaviest at the bottom. It's just not as heavy at the bottom as what a normal hack squat would be with no band. So guys, as I said, you don't need to reverse band the hack squat. People have got massive legs without adding any bands to a hack squat before. But if you do want to make your reps a little bit more efficient and you're willing to invest the time of setting it up, it can be a great option for you. As we know, when it comes to the squatting movements, we are weaker at the bottom and we're stronger at the top due to the joints stacking. Whereas on a hack squat, the load stays the same throughout the whole rep. So it is the hardest at the bottom. So by attaching a band just flattens out that profile a little bit more. But we're still going to have a challenge at the bottom, but it just makes every rep a little bit more effective. Hope you've all enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, please leave in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe, and hope you all have a great day.